Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as always, welcome you to your favorite show, and that is Men. Now, we all know that it is women who make men's world go round. So today we have some women, young and old. We've got a blend. We're going to be talking to us about the 21st century woman. Now, we're here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel with about arguably the most beautiful view in Kampala, and also enjoying some of the best food and drinks you can ever get in this good city. So stay with us and enjoy this topic as we talk about whether the changes in the 21st century have made women better or made them worse. Now, Honorable, it's good to have you here. You know, you are loved and hated at the same time.
Wait.
Because some of the men think you're a little bit too upfront, okay, and you tell them all those things they don't want to hear, which is a good thing, because traditionally in society we're used to not speaking out and speaking the truth, and you do that. So it's good to have you back, as always. And
thank you.
You're also a strong crusader for women. Okay, so to me, I think that
for
is
humanity.
For humanity, but the women are the core of humanity.
Yes, because they are the center of humanity. Without them, no humanity.
But also without men, there's no humanity.
What are you talking
about? We'll get to that. Chris, as always, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Peter.
Again, 21st century women.
Yeah.
We've got one here. So I don't know if the previous women were better than her, or.
Well, we can have the comparisons. They're all in red,
differently, but alike. There's a difference, but a lot alike.
Same color, but you know, a little different.
I wish you could see the way the Honorable is looking at you. But good to have you here, Flavia. As always, looking great. There's a bit of mix and match, red. So.
Unplanned, but works.
It works.
Yeah,
great minds think alike. And Asavia, we've got a young man who was, before we went on air, was asked if he's married. And he started sweating. Good to have you here too.
Well, I had questions.
He didn't want to be called a young man. Oh, he wanted to be called a young man.
A man.
No,
A
what
man.
defines the argument is man. So
you know what man means.
Hold on. So I mean, just to set the pace, Honorable Matembe, you have been at the forefront, especially supporting women's rights and also crusading for the new age woman. I dare to say that women have changed over time. Okay, in some ways, some people think the changes in society have ruined the traditional woman as what she used to be, and some people are saying we need to go back to that original woman, and others are saying no, that a lot of these changes like education and opportunities are making women better. Do you think that, especially in terms of education and creation of opportunities, women are just becoming bigger-headed and harder to deal with?
Actually, your subject is quite confusing, because are women getting better or worse? In terms of what? And I hope next time we shall discuss whether men are getting worse or better, because I don't like to discuss women alone out of the whole context of relationship. Because if we are talking about women in relation to the old type of women, and they in relation to the men, so that we can understand. But anyway, what I want to say is what has changed is the environment, the circumstances, all these things have changed. And for me, I do not believe what you are telling me, that people are saying that women should go back in their traditional way of life, because they cannot go back. I mean, we move forward. Humanity doesn't move backward, it moves forward. So there has been advancement from the traditional life, even by the way the people who are still in the rural areas, like in my home area in Ankole, for instance, even those who have not come to the city and got jobs like us, things have changed. Because long ago, when, for instance, people used to live in a homestead, and so when a man married a woman, he brought her into the homestead. and she could be having his own house there, his own hut with his wife, but they all belonged there in that home. And actually the woman now came home and started helping the mother-in-law, those days called in-law, with the work at home and that kind of thing. And by the way, that's why there was this bride price thing. By then, me, I was justifying this bride price would be justified in that the parents of the girl would rear this girl and then hand her over to other people. Then she would go there and work for them, and for this they remain with nothing. So they are used to say, okay, since they have taken the girl, let us get something. Maybe if we get cows, we can maybe get a housekeeper or something to help us with work. While for her, she's working and earning for the other family. But these days, whether it is a man in the village or here in Kampala, the man marries his wife and they go in their own home. Even at home in the village, the man and his young man and his wife, they have nothing to do with these in-laws. They are there in their home, they are doing their own things, they are cooking for themselves. So the tradition is not there anymore. Now when it comes to town here, certainly for us, for instance, my boys have married, but they marry after wedding. I don't see them anymore. They are in their homes and I'm there in my house alone. In fact, that's why I was saying, but why should I pay bride price for what? I pay bride price, I've looked after my son. Now they come, I pay you a lot of cows or money on top of you taking my son, and I remain here in my house with nobody, because that is the situation. But in terms of, so what am I saying? Women, nobody who should be saying that we go back where we were. If we are to go back where we were, let the men go back where they were, so that we all go back and do what we are doing there. But in terms of now modernity, let's all go back and go backward. But if we are to advance, we must advance together. But for me, I don't want you to say the women have become worse or better. No, because it is not like that. Some people have improved and they are doing very well. Others, things are not working, and others are there.
No, but you see, the argument actually comes from the fact that right now society is going to the dogs, generally.
To the dogs?
Okay, I mean, like, it's kind of like,
the women who are taking it there.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Helping the women.
No, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. Because you see, there are a lot of people say women are no longer respectful, okay? Because women are earning more money than they were earning. You mentioned it, you said a lot of things have changed. Women are working more, they're getting more money. And then we even hear this thing that people are even, there are gentlemen who are scared of marrying women who are emancipated, because they say, those ones are a problem. They can't listen to you.
That's insecure. But to listen to you, why should I listen to you? Are you listening to me? I mean, this is the nonsense me I don't take. Let me tell you the truth. And I'm a very, very empowered woman.
Yes.
Nobody can doubt that. I have my husband.
Yes.
We understand each other. We've been married for the last 41 years. And we are there. So don't get a woman out of that situation. Me, I want both men and women to have an understanding. First, to agree that society is changing, things are changing, and if women are getting educated and they are intelligent and they are earning money, they are becoming professionals, I want society to look at it that is for the benefit. Progress and for the benefit of this woman, and when eventually she marries a man, it is for the benefit of the man and for the benefit of the family. I want things to be like that, and I want men to grow in their mind and understand that the women are no longer the other women who had to be there in the house and wait for men to come and do everything for them, and therefore become, what do you call it, respectful, listening to me. Let me tell you the Bible. I will tell you the scripture, and I will let others talk. In the scripture, let me tell you, when man and woman sinned against God, God cursed everything that caused the problem. He cursed the man. He said, in sweat and toil you will earn a living. And he told the woman, for you'll get your pain increased in labor, but your desire will be from a man. What did that mean? That the man would be the one to work, to earn the living, to sweat, to dig, to do all these things. And since he was doing everything for the family, then my desire would be in him. He's the one to provide for me, he's the one. So I'm looking to him for everything. And then I'm in the labor ward delivering children. But what happened down the road? The man abandoned the responsibility of digging, of sweating and so on, and left that to the woman, on top of her suffering in the labor ward alone. Now, do you think I would sweat, dig? Even in the village, I dig, I do everything, and you are there renegating on your responsibility, and then all you say, I'm a man, I'm here, respect me, listen to me, hear me. Let me tell you what makes a man. If a man is a man, yes, in the sense of being a man, automatically the woman respects that man. Automatically. You don't have to demand respect. All you need to do is to behave as a man, as you are supposed to do, and the respect is automatic.
Okay, Honorable, we'll come back to you. Now, Chris, I mean, that was a lot to take in. You're a counselor. I mean, you talk to a lot of young people. And we know, even last week we talked about it, there's been a challenge. There are a lot of young people who nowadays are kind of negating, and they're blaming it on the women. We heard the women also clearly say, setting terms and conditions for relationships. Isn't that a challenge? Because I'll give you, in the times of our parents, the terms and conditions were set. But now, because the terms and conditions, the needs are going up. Now she wants a car, she wants to dress in fancy clothes and all that. It's a burden for the men. Some of the men just can't handle. Your thoughts?
Well, Peter, this is just situating the conversation back to the original question you asked, whether women, whether modernity is making women better or worse. Yeah. I tend to agree with Honorable in the sense, like, better or worse in what respect. I think that's something we need to look into. If we looked at some of the influences that we've had, say for example, we live in Uganda, but it's a global village now. We are in on the news that's happening everywhere, on what the fashions are, what the cultural trends are in terms of the modern culture, what works and what doesn't work. The definition of etiquette is different, etc. So what seems to happen is that because of the advancement in technology and the trends that keep on coming, we so quickly are able to take in so much that's happening all over the world, and sometimes without necessarily weighing through and saying, is that good for me?
Does it work
or not? Yeah. Is it helpful or not? So for example, you watch this soap or movie from Hollywood that just portrays a girl who she just doesn't she doesn't do anything at home. I mean, home is so they portray the modern woman as one who's in office doing all this work, but never prepares a meal at home, doesn't take care of kids. In fact, having kids is a bit and then you want to take that in and live that way, and you're still in Uganda. There is a bit of a challenge in that, but we also can't generalize. I personally try not to generalize, to say that all the girls, all the women are going that way. So what I would say is actually to just put some caution on what we take in, all right? Because not everything that's portrayed as modern is good. In France, for example, they have negative population growth. So the French are becoming less because The French women are not having babies, and in fact, in some even other European countries. So now you have to import people for the national population to grow. That can't be good. It's modern, quote unquote, but it isn't good. So I think what we need to do is look at what are the aspects that are coming with modernity that are not good for society, so we table them and discuss them, and what are some of those that are good so we can encourage them.
Flavia, modern day woman.
Oh. Are you saying I am one?
Yes, you are.
Let me tell you, because first of all, the comparison is unfair. I'll tell you why it's unfair. Because I have my mother, who's from a different era, and then she has me. She raised me, so bits and pieces of her era had to be imparted in me. Now, if I'm giving me as an example, my mother had ambitions for me, still has ambitions for me. You will be educated. As a girl, you have rights, and you will speak up when you need to speak up, and you will go get a job, have a career, be happy, be fulfilled. That's my mother from another era having ambitions for a girl in this era. So I went to school, I got educated, and I was ambitious, and I achieved. That doesn't mean that society is changing me. It means from the home, from the people of that era, I've been given the need, listen, in my era this wasn't happening. I want that for you. She's not going to bring the negatives, of course, and say, I want that for you as well. But let me tell you what happens then. The man will then start saying, these girls are too educated, they speak up. That's how I'm raised. That's how I know I need to speak up. But then what happens is that I think we're judged based on, the comparison is based off that. But
wasn't that the previous one?
If it was so right, our parents would have told us, sit here as a girl, you can't study beyond P7.
Yeah.
Yes, if it was so right, they would have told us, sit here, stay here, a man will come for you. Don't even, if you get out of the house, go to fetch water. But in the realistic terms where I stay, we don't fetch water outside. So the comparison is off.
But then question is, hasn't the rate of divorce gone up? Families are breaking because traditional values are no longer being maintained.
We can't put that burden on women. You can't. You simply can't.
But before we just before we get there,
you can't put that burden on women.
But let's hear from the young men who are talking about. Are you scared of these women?
Not at all.
Good.
That is what I can say. Actually, what I can say is the modern society has really come with this hula baloo, and it has imparted into the women and destroyed their perception.
Yes.
Of a society.
Hollywood modern or Ugandan modern?
All over, because Hollywood modern is just coming and intervening into the Ugandan society, and most especially the ladies. So you find the ladies now, the emancipation that has really come onto them is badly perceived. Now they think they are so much free, free, and even it reaches at a point whereby
we're not free.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
The man say
Let me say my point. What I'm meaning is, well, mere fact that men and women we're all going to classes, and you find even the woman is highly educated more than the man. So that one has even crossed lines even to go into families, whereby you find now my superiority at my workplace or my level of education is brought into the family, and that one brings about confusion of who is the head, who has the powers, where do we have really to regulate the family. That's the case of a bad management. Yes, just like you can see at the workplace, just as you can see at the workplace, we have the manager, we have the secretary, that kind of administration.
So just to get you right, so you're saying women are basically running amok.
Yes, that is what I can say, because right now, just to finish my point, Peter, to finish my point, just to make my point, I'm saying that women now, you talk about a lady that, can you stop this? Mere fact that she feels that their courts which are so much defending the ladies that you do anything slightly to me, I'll take you there, and they will listen to me. You get me? So the modern society has really...
Should we be asking what the modern society
wait, okay, now we do have to get into a break right now.
That's so bad.
But don't worry, it is his opinion, which is very valid. Now we're here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel, and we are talking about the 21st century woman. Is the modern woman kind of losing the plot and losing her direction? Stay with us. As soon as we get back from the break, we'll be having more of that. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we are here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel, and we are talking about the 21st century woman. Is she running amok, or is she progressing? And is this progression that we have to endorse, or are the men being stepped on and getting away with it? All right. Honorable,
yes, women don't know their borders. I don't think it was me specifically.
Okay. You see, the thing is, there is, there's been a lot of talk about supporting the girl child, and this is where it stems from. But the boy child has more or less been left out. Okay?
True.
Yes, and so that there's even a lot of the laws that we have. If a man beats a woman, that he's in a lot of trouble. If a woman beats a man, people laugh about it and tell him, what kind of a man are you who's being beaten? Okay, so there's a lot of, I guess where he's coming from is that a lot of this emancipation is not level, and it's more driven towards protecting the women, and in that way women have are feeling stronger, okay, and are also able to, I put it in quotes, misbehave. True. And get away with it.
For me, it's unfortunate that we are discussing women in isolation. When it comes to the battle for gender equality and women's empowerment, I said it has started, it will not stop, it will move on. All that people need to know is that it is a battle which will move on. And since it will move on, the other side needs to understand and know that we can no longer have the women there quiet, closed behind doors, being treated as chattels, as objects, being ordered to do this, do the other, with no opportunity to put in their view, not to discuss what is going on, but to know that the women can no longer be behind the scenes. Now that they have come now on the public scene, men need to adjust accordingly. They need to know that they are not dealing with the other woman. It's not that women have become unruly, have become bad. No, women have come up to take the space and take their rightful positions as human beings. And men are resisting that. You can never have that woman behind the scenes whom you order, whom you instruct, whom you... No! Now the woman is a colleague. She's not a servant. She is a colleague who will come with her potential, with her wisdom, with her talents, and you come with yours, and you sit at the table, put it at the table and discuss and take a decision. Yes, you told me there is a manager and a permanent secretary. I have always told men that yes, I can't depart from scripture, because for me, I believe in God. Man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And the neck turns the head where it must go. Now, if I want to turn you to the right direction, and for you, you are stiff. And in any case, God gave man, helpless man, God brought him a helper to help him. But not what they did. They discarded the man, the woman.
Not helpless. Men are not helpless.
Let me tell you, a person who needs help is helpless. Because God saw, yes, he said, let me create a suitable helper. Because he was helpless in some ways, and so she came as a helper. And when she came as a helper, man did not understand that. She discarded his helper, and discarded him and threw him there. And yet, That's why they remove them. That's why we struggle that women must be at the table participating in decision making, because their brains, their potential, their talent must be on the table.
I agree with you 100%.
So what is your problem now?
I don't have a problem, but one thing I'm saying is, now, there's even a quote which I read somewhere that said nowadays women stopped cooking like their mothers and are now drinking like their fathers. You go into bars, they are full of women. Even some of these bars you see in Kampala, women, married women with children, they are leaving at 7 in the morning. Is that empowerment?
I don't think we can have a healthy conversation about this if we are pointing fingers at each other, because we'll have a shouting match until the end of the show and until the end of life. And I think that what we really need to look at is, how does a young lady come to a point where she doesn't value herself and her body anymore, for example, and sees herself as a sex object for those who do? It's most probably because they've grown up in an environment where they're not celebrated, where there's no male figure, there's no father who has celebrated her and said you're beautiful, and he's not, as you know, to say you're beautiful doesn't come with asking for her body for sex. All right? So you have lots of girls growing up deprived of male affirmation that has no strings attached. There's lots and lots. I mean, that for me, that's close to my heart. I actually even wrote a book, Peter, you know, I wrote a book called The Gold in Fathering, that really speaks into the space of the role fathers play. So I think that's part of the problem we have, that many of the young girls that we see are unfathered. They don't know what male touch is. You know, that's good touch. You know, a hug that is not leading to sex. For a man to say I love you and it's not leading to, you know, take your skirt off. Okay, that's one big problem we have. The second problem I see is that whereas we have for the last 30 years upped women emancipation, which I totally believe in, by the way, because I think that women were being shortchanged in many respects, yeah, and we needed as a society to say, look, let's respect our moms, our sisters, and let's give them a space on the table because they belong to the table. I totally agree with that. But my worry now is that you have guys who are we're in trouble with the guys. The boy child right now, the boy child is confused. Because you see, you study with these girls, and some of them are genuinely brighter than you, but on top of that, they get 1.5 points on top of their, you know, their grade. So it's almost like what's better is to be female and not male. Because I know that it was a correctional measure that was done, but 30 years on, a 30-year-old man knows nothing different but the whole thing of a system that is putting the woman ahead. All right? So then what that does is this guy, on top of not having his father around, let's please remember that both the girl child and the guy child don't have a father. So he's growing up confused because there's no man to model after, but also the society, the system is saying we need to help the girls. So then the young men don't know how to deal with women.
They don't know their place.
So they don't know. Like you say they are spoiled, but the truth is that I don't know how to deal with them. I know many guys who do not know how to approach a girl to woo her into a love relationship. They whistle, they grab, they, you know, that's their way. So the thing is that while we're looking at this whole thing, we need to look at what are some of the things that have brought the average 25-year-old woman to be problematic to herself, but also for the 25-year-old young man to see the girl who is his peer as a problem.
Cool. Now, my let me speak to my 21st century lady here. Now, do you think your generation is spoiled? Generally.
Because to be honest,
yes,
there's a great number of, our century, yes, that is spoiled. And you could say that Hollywood comes in and we learn this and that, but he's made a great point. Perhaps we have progressed to a certain point and waited for the guys in a way to catch up or to understand where we are. And that didn't happen. And we maybe stayed there too long in our progression and advanced to our own and listened to ourselves and nobody else. And it's gotten to that point where how dare I stay at home and cook for a man when really I could be at work? And perhaps I do want to cook for a man. Now I'm girl number 2. I want to cook for the man, but I'm at work till 5. And he wants lunch. Let's be realistic. He's also at work. So you would like for me to leave my job, go cook, bring it to your workplace. So some things that you will want of a modern woman are not realistic. So I'd say the checklist needs to change. Maybe that's what we need to change. The checklist for the modern woman to subscribe to perhaps make a man feel respected and feel like his role as a man is there, the checklist needs to change. You're not going to do what the woman did 40 years ago.
No,
so let's change that checklist already,
then
right?
Where I have a bit of a query where that's concerned, and that it will definitely land on his lap, is we are seeing a shift where especially the younger ladies are starting to date older men. If they were in touch with the younger generation, then why are they going for older men?
So this is the thing. First of all, we mature way before the men.
Before you go on that, we need to get into a break because of that. Because she just called you immature. Simple as that.
No,
we're here at the Church in Kampala Hotel. We're talking about the 21st century woman and her transition between what she used to be and what she is now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we're here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel and we are talking about the 21st century woman. What is it that has changed? Is it changing for the better or for the worse? Now, just before we went into the break, and Honorable, I think you can attest here, there's been this shift, okay, and the older men are under attack. Okay.
Which older men?
Yes, they are. Some of us are now
from
older
the young
men.
women.
Yes, from the young women, okay. And they are forgetting about the young men. And they are just going. So if it was a matter of them not wanting
subscribe to that.
Yes, to that generation, then why are they going for them?
For me, this thing of, is it sugar dad or whatever,
yes.
It has not just come.
Yes.
It came long ago. It has been on scene for quite some time. Don't leave the environment because the materialism, there is high level of materialism in this country. I mean greed. I mean the country is polluted with so many ills in society, and therefore both men and women are affected by these ills. Now he brought a very good point when he was talking about the home in which these people are growing. Certainly you find I have a problem with women, some mature women. You see the way they are dressed and they are having their daughters, and you can imagine how they bring them up. The whole issue of upbringing has become a problem, and one of the reasons of causes of that is the world has become difficult. Both the man and woman are at work and they are very busy working to make their home, the ends meet, and to take care of their children. But at the end of it all, they are losing out their children because they have not had time to bring them up well, to discipline them and show them the way to go. That is happening a lot in the families these days, because the woman has gone to work, the man has gone to work, the children are being nurtured by the TV, the films you are seeing, the maids. So this whole environment situation should not be closed off. That is the environment under which the young people are growing up. So when they grow up like that and they have no value, no nothing, but they are being nurtured and brought up by the TVs, by the peers, by the housekeepers, that's what happens. That's what happens. That's why people are saying that perhaps women need to once again see how they can stay at home. Some people have decided to stay at home to nurture their children. But for me, the way I look at it, it's not a question of the woman staying at home and nurturing children, because even if she did, the man would not manage. The economic situation is so bad. But what I would like the people to see is to realize that they are sweating, working so hard for the benefit of their children. But sweating so hard and losing out on your children, in the end you get nothing. So they need to see this understanding. And that's why I was telling you, sit at the table and discuss and see what do we do. For instance, if this woman is earning much more than you do, don't you think you should be respecting her job so much that for you as a man, I think in Uganda they can never think of that. But I have seen that thing happen abroad, where the woman is bringing more income than the man. Then the man stays at home and takes care of the children, while the woman is earning. It does happen because it is.
But is that really?
That's why they are calling us spoiled.
It is extreme and wise. Let me tell you, it is extreme and wise. But for me, the African men amuse me because they think that being a man is putting on a trouser and showing around that you are a man. But that is not the issue. Being a man, for instance, is fending for your home, protecting your wife, giving cover to your family and all that kind of thing. And you cannot only give it when only when you are working and your wife is at home. Your wife could be doing better in terms of income.
Yeah, but is it okay to sit at home?
Why is it okay for a woman to sit at home? Why? This is the issue now.
Yes.
Is it okay for the woman to sit at home and not to work, and the man goes to work even when he's earning a third of what I'm earning? We have to face reality. Let me tell you.
Just a second, let's hear from the young man who needs to catch up again.
Honorable makes a very fundamental point, most especially when she says we need parenting, good parenting. We need to have a national agenda on parenting a kid. And this has to be instilled right from schools, because that is where a kid spends much of his or her time. And because and that is where we find different children from different societies. So here you find a parent goes and grooms his or her kid, then the kid comes to school, finds another society which has different disciplines, then the kid really loses the agenda of how a Ugandan child has to be molded. And that is where, from school, that is where we find most of the external influence of the Western cultures really coming and being what? And influencing that child. So that is where we need to have a child coming from school knowing how I need to grow up, with the help of the parent, the mother or the father. From that, and that is those values that you'll have instilled within the child. Trust me, even if he or she is old, then those are the values he will really take up. And Honorable talked about the poor dress codes and the skimpedness and looking very, very nude. That one, I think, has really come in right from, most especially we always adopted from universities.
Yeah.
That's why we adapted. But you find if the university has really a very strong rule or law that a child does not come to a lecture room dressing this and this.
But I beg to differ, because you see,
they are no longer children.
Yes, it's a choice. Yeah, it's your decision. And as a parent,
it's not going to work.
As a parent, I should also know I cannot compete with my child. I can't be trying to wear a shorter skirt than my child. It's just ethically and morally.
But you know why he talks about the national agenda is you find...
You're sounding like a politician.
No, not like...
Why do you deny what is politics? We are discussing politics right now.
But
I cannot rule myself away.
Sometimes you also find a child who truly has been brought up well. The parents can attest and tell you we brought this child up well, but they're doing things contrary to...
But what I'm saying is the way, if at all we allow that the liberalness or the external factors really come in and overrule our national values, or which kind of a traditional person really want. We have seen some of the countries where you find they have very strict laws that you don't do this or you don't wear this. We are really getting out of this.
Asavia, do you realize in many of those countries where you have all these rules, that the rules on the road are not the rules in the homes and in the private parties? You know, because you can have people fully covered up, and when outside on the street, and when they get off the street, you find a totally different person. Because you see, rules do not make a person, it's the values that someone actually espouses and holds dear. And where do these values come from? Because we're talking about modernity, and whether it's affected the girl child or the women in our society, has it made them better or worse? And I don't really think it's about modernity per se. It's not really technology that's our problem. It's not the fact that there is more. We're getting to hear more. Like, for example, when you look at all the news that's happening on TV, man does this to his daughter, woman does the other to the husband's whatever part. It's not because some of these things were not happening before. It's because technology now
has brought them closer.
To see these stories more. So it's not really that. I don't think modernity is a problem. It's the values. And where do values come from?
Okay, now we've reached that point actually when we do have to wrap up. But Chris,
before you wrap up, there's something I want to say.
We'll need your parting shot from you. But if I may just say one thing, Chris. You know the thing is, you remember when we were younger, TV used to start at 5 p.m. and would end at 9. There was one TV channel. There was control. You're talking about rules, and without control. And I believe currently, in Uganda, we have way too much freedom, and that's why our society is going to the dog. I think we need tighter control. That's
like for example, shut down the internet.
No.
That affects men and women.
I'm wondering.
It won't be a question of just women.
So there should be consequences for our actions. But that's just my thought.
Your parting shot.
No. Your parting shot.
For me, I want to agree that there is total indiscipline. In this country, it is like whom it may concern. It is like there is no authority. It is like when you liberalize, you open up everything. That's what has happened. And yet other countries, they liberalize with wisdom. They close something. One of the reasons why we are starving with food is because our country has just opened up, and food is going to Sudan, trucks of food, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, where just open up like that, with no policy to say no, we cannot sell here, we cannot, protect your own nation. So we have opened up the countries like there is nobody ruling it. I'm telling you, it's very sad. We were discussing women, but I'm glad we have ended up discussing the whole issue of where is Uganda going. Don't just look at women alone, but where are we going as a nation? And I want to tell you, this country is under attack by the devil. The person called Satan has attacked this nation. You don't know what is going on. You don't know the wickedness that is going on in this country. They talk of so many sexual orgies. What is going on in this country? I'm telling you, we have Satanism going on. And when you see people behave like they are behaving, don't think that they are behaving in the normal way. They are captured by the devil. And let me tell you, about 10 years ago, when I was still a minister for ethics and integrity, when I saw what was going on, I said, woe to the parents. And I said, any parent who is not a prayer warrior will not get a child. And I want to tell parents out there that unless they go down on their knees every day and night and pray for their children, while they also put in discipline the way they can, they are losing them, I'm telling you. They have to pray.
Very powerful words. Your parting shots, Chris.
Well, I think that we have hope. We have hope in this country. We have hope in this nation. We have hope in our young women and our young men. All hope isn't lost at all. I think that we just need to go back to the foundations of our society, which is really family, and look at what are the things we're getting wrong and how can we get better. I think that one of the scourges in our nation right now is fatherlessness. You find that there's so many absentee fathers, whether because the relationship with the mom has broken down, or it's because you have economic absenteeism. Dad is out working, he's on safari, he's never home, never has time to talk to the kids and shape them. Or, you know, just the whole thing of a guy is around but he's physically present but absent. He's reading the news, he's watching TV and says, quiet, Dad is home, you know, and that kind of thing. So I really think that, I personally, I'm a firm believer in when men show up, stuff takes shape. When men show up. When fathers show up, our girl child will turn out right, our boy child will turn out right. So whether, it doesn't matter what technology there is, it doesn't matter what modernity brings our way, if we have a family that works together and you have men playing their role as shepherds of their kids and fathering them well, I am certain that it will work. So my plea is to men, fathers, that we just go for it. Be present, be a father. It doesn't matter what era you're living in, your child will turn out right.
Great stuff. Flavia.
You know, when all this is, I had a parting shot and then I actually changed it in the last minute, because I thought to myself, what is the one thing I have not seen more of? Because it's true, there's a lot of moral decay. That I'll be honest about. And I think the biggest problem is access. As young women, we have access to a lot. Lots of bad, lots of good. And I think what we are lacking and is what I'd call mentors, right? We are lacking people who have gone through the same life. You don't have to be so far in age from me, but for me to see that you have gone through, because let me tell you, you could have great upbringing and get into the world and the reality hits you hard. Some things you cannot avoid. But if you've seen mentors, if you've seen people who have gone through it and chosen a different path, chosen not to be naked, chosen not to drink as much, chosen not to do A, B, C, D, if you see it happen, it's possible for you. And I think that's what most of the young girls and young women are lacking. They haven't seen anyone do it differently. They've seen everyone go through the reality of the world and get hit hard. Yeah. So they're like, hey, might as well happen to me.
So that's the way it is, huh?
Exactly.
Cool, great stuff. Flavia, I know you've been roughed up a little bit.
No, it's fine.
You've been told that you are immature.
Who said that?
That's what Flavia said. That he needs to catch up.
He said that we women mature faster.
Yes, so the young men are immature.
No, but that is the truth. No. It is true that women mature faster.
We are saving Asavia's parting shot.
No, I can really defend.
Your parting shot.
Let me say a parting shot. I think we should get back to a system whereby a neighbor, everyone was a watchdog to a neighbor's son or daughter, or whereby I find you when you're in wrong, I'm able to mold or punish you.
Nowadays,
somebody
will call the police on you.
Yes, put you into direction.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as we lost that and we accepted the 21st century that we are so much into accepting holy, we are losing the point. And it is good, we should accept maybe the values, but let us try to combat them with our traditional ethics and see how we can move along. And we should have a very strong order, or we should have very strong command on how we really want a Ugandan son or daughter to be. Otherwise, we are getting to a mess.
We are lost.
Seriously.
Great stuff. I want to thank you all for coming here tonight, especially Honorable, for those very strong words of wisdom. You're never shy.
But I'm glad we stopped the whole nonsense of women alone.
Pointing.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've had it from the panel here. It has been a great discussion. Mine is very, very simple. We know what is right and what is wrong. You don't have to be taught that. And we cannot pretend and hide behind the 21st century and say that that is the way things are done. Let's just do what is right. And I can't overemphasize what you say. We need to pray. Those who don't have children, pray for your unborn children, because it's only prayer that will save us as a nation. Have a great night. It has been great talking to you. Don't forget, we need you to follow us both on Facebook and Twitter. It's right there on your screen. Have a good night. Take care of yourselves, and God